Welcome to episode 3 of my brand new Aquascaping Beginners guide. In this mini-series I'm starting completely from scratch so I can show you everything you need to know about aquascaping from start to finish. I'll be setting up 2 tanks, one low-tech and one high-tech, so there's something for everybody. I'll show you what equipment you need, how to create nice hardscapes and select the right plants, how to deal with algae and just general maintenance. If you want to start aquascaping or just get better at it, then this one is for you. We're starting this video in my local fish shop because we need to buy Substrate and Hardscape. For the Substrate I'm going to keep it really simple with just AQUASOIL. This is a complete substrate which will provide the plants with everything that they need. Now AQUASOIL is quite expensive, so if you want to save some money, here's a good tip. It's basically like crushed lava rock. In general, lava rock is quite a bit cheaper than AQUASOIL, and this is very porous, so it's also very good for beneficial bacteria. So if you want to save some money, put a layer of crushed lava rock first and then cap that with your AQUASOIL. The next thing we need is Hardscape. So Hardscape is just a fancy word for rocks and wood, and this will be the foundation of our layout. So it's very important to do this right and to take our time with it. When selecting your hardscape, it's good to be aware of the characteristics of these natural materials, as some types of rock might leach calcium and some types of wood might release tannins or grow thick layers of mold. I'm going to use black lava rock and river wood. Both of these materials are very easy to work with and have little to no effect on the water parameters. Okay, I think I got what I need. So kind of the main concept is 2 big lava rocks and creating an arch with a piece of wood. You know, same thing over here. So I'm gonna start with that, and then in case I need some extra details, I'm gonna buy 2 smaller pieces of wood and these 3 lava rocks. Same over here, 2 pieces of wood, 3 lava rocks. Okay, we're back home. It's actually been a few days since those last clips, but today we're going to make a hardscape in these 2 tanks. Super excited. Over here in this bag I have all the rocks and the wood that we bought. The only thing that I didn't buy was the AQUASOIL. That's because I'm using the AQUASOIL from Dennerle Plants. And Dennerle Plants is my main channel sponsor, so I get this stuff for free and I don't need to buy it. I could probably use a different brand to make an exception for this video, but I don't think it really matters. Of course, in the final calculations, I'm going to make a full video about the total cost breakdown. I will of course include the price of this as well. Now, one of the most frequent asked questions from people is, how much soil do I need? Because this stuff is quite expensive, so we don't want to buy too much, you know? Very simple, you can just do a little calculation. So let me just quickly open the calculator. So we take the length and the width of our tank. So this one is 45 by 36 centimeters. So we'll do 45 multiplied by 36, 1620. And then depending on how thick of a layer you want, you just multiply that by, let's say I want a layer of 5 centimeters. So we'll just multiply that by 5. We get to 8,100. So basically we want 8 liters for this aquarium. Now, 1 bag of AQUASOIL from Dennerle Plants is 9 liters. So this is the perfect amount for 1 aquarium. So I need 2 bags. Here we go, so that is 1 9-liter bag in each tank. I think it's the perfect amount as well. We have a nice thin layer in front and a slightly thicker layer in the back. You can see sort of like a small slope. In my opinion, a very thin layer of AQUASOIL in front just looks very nice, very clean. And also by creating that slope, it just kind of helps to increase the sense of depth. In the front, we just want to have enough soil so we can plant into it. Right now it's actually quite a thin layer, but once we add in the rocks, we're going to push the rocks a little bit into the substrate as well. And then the layer will get a little bit thicker. So there's a few things to know about AQUASOIL. First up, you don't need to rinse it. As I just demonstrated, you can just open a bag, pour it straight in and start scaping. So it's really nice and easy. Second thing you need to know is this stuff is full of nutrients. So for the first couple of weeks, you're not going to have to add any liquid fertilizer. There's enough nutrients in the AQUASOIL. Now, because it's so high in nutrients, you also need to do quite a few water changes to get rid of the excess nutrients. It depends a little bit on the brand that you're working with. So the Dennerle Plants AQUASOIL is not super high in nutrients, so you don't need to do water changes every day. But for example, very popular ADA AQUASOIL Amazonia is really rich in nutrients. So you need to do a water change every single day for the first few weeks. So no need to rinse. really high nutrients, water changes are required. Number 4 is the high ion exchange capacity, if I say that correctly. Basically, AQUASOIL is also made of clay minerals. And clay has this ability to absorb nutrients from the water column, lock them into the substrate, and then slowly release it to the plant roots. It's actually one of the main reasons why I love it so much. Because of that ability, you just don't need to use as much liquid fertilizer. And also, if you skip dosing liquid fertilizer for a couple of days, maybe even 2 weeks, the plants still have enough nutrients because there's so many nutrients in the substrate, you know? Another reason why AQUASOIL is a really good substrate is because of the size of the granules. Like in the substrate, we also want to have oxygen, we want to have nutrients. But if you think of sand, it's very compact, you know, it's very dense, so that you can't really have water flow going through sand. But with the size of the granules, it just stays very light, very aerated. And plants just have a really easy time rooting into AQUASOIL. So in my opinion, this is the best substrate you can use for a planted tank. And I think it's perfect for beginners. Right, but enough about AQUASOIL. Let's start working on our hardscape. I'm using riverwood and I'm using black lava rocks. And there's a very good reason why I've chosen these materials, because they're actually very easy to work with, easier than some other materials. So black lava rock, very porous, very lightweight, which is a good thing because in most shops you'll buy rocks by the kilo. So this stuff is lighter, so it will save you a little bit of money as well. Also, black lava rock doesn't have an effect on the water chemistry. If you think of cereal stone, for example, is very rich in calcium, and it will slowly release some calcium into the water column as well. So over time, your water hardness will increase, which is not very good if you're trying to grow plants. So that's why I love to use this stuff. Then the riverwood, what I like about this stuff is that it doesn't really release too many tannins, and also doesn't grow mold or fungus or biofilm. There's other types of wood, for example, spiderwood or redmore wood, which always grows a layer of fungus on the surface. And if you don't know that, then it might surprise you, you might freak out a little bit. So always do some research before you buy the hardscape materials. You can just ask the people in the shop, like, hey, is this stuff safe to use? Do I need to know anything? They'll probably give you some advice. But yeah, these two materials, very easy to work with, not too many side effects, so that's why I've chosen them. Okay, time to start placing some hardscape into the tank. I'm going to start with the rocks. And I'm basically going to look at every piece and see which side is the nicest looking. So this side has quite a lot of detail, a little indent over here. The other side is a little bit more smooth, doesn't have as much detail. So I want to make sure that this side is facing forward. So I'm just going to place it here for now. Okay, second piece, bit of a triangle shape. I don't know, maybe just something like this could be nice. And if I remember correctly, I basically just want to create a bit of an arch with the wood. So just, something like this. I quite like that already. I think it's a good start. I like how, the wood is flowing in the right direction. I think I'm going to try to mirror it in this tank and make sure the wood is going in that direction, to the left. Here we go, this looks very cool as well. Of course not identical to this one, but they both have this arch in the center, two rocks on either side. Let's see if we can make it a little bit more interesting, because we still have two small pieces of wood and two small rocks. So let's see if we can take it to the next level. Okay guys, 5 minutes later, I think I'm done. I've used everything, so 5 rocks, 3 pieces of wood, and this is the end result. So here's the low-tech tank. Of course we have the internal filter, so I've placed this piece of wood here, just kind of block it a little bit more. And then the second piece of wood, I just placed it here, just kind of help with that flow again, Then 2 small lava rocks in front here, and 1 in the back, just kind of help, with that sense of depth. And kind of did a similar thing over here. So 2 small pieces of wood on either side, a small rock over here, a small rock over there, and a small rock over there in the back. Now, because I've kind of tried to mirror the scapes, I think I will change the in and outflow on the high-tech tank. So on the low-tech tank, you know, it's on the right side pushing towards the left. So I want to do the same thing in the high-tech tank, but we can change that later. It's not really important right now. Okay, so I'm happy with these hardscape layouts, so I'm going to start gluing things together. Why do I do that? Basically for two reasons. First of all, the pieces of wood are completely dry. They have not been waterlogged. So if I would fill the tank up with water right now, those pieces of wood are going to float. Of course, you want to make sure we avoid that. Also, it's just easier with maintenance, you know, like if you're cleaning the glass or if you have to trim some plants, it's very easy to knock over a piece of hardscape. So I just like to glue everything together so it's one solid structure. It just makes life easier. So in episode 1, we bought the liquid super glue. I also like to use it in combination with cotton pads. If you don't have cotton pads, you can also use tissue paper or paper towels. And we need a pin set as well. So this is a perfect example. We have the rock, piece of wood. There's like a little gap in between that. So I'm going to take a little bit of this cotton and just wedge it in there. So that piece of cotton is now squeezed in between the rock and the wood. So then we just saturate it with super glue, the liquid type. Now we wait a few seconds, the cotton pad is going to absorb all the liquid super glue, and in like 10-20 seconds it's going to be completely solid, and it basically binds both pieces of hardscape together. So this one over here is now done. We can do another one over here. Again, tiny piece of cotton, wedge it in there and saturate it with glue. And that's it. So right now, if I try to wiggle the pieces of wood, they're not moving anymore. So that's it, gluing is done. Of course, some of these pieces of white cotton are still very visible. Doesn't look very nice, but we'll probably use some moss in this aquascape as well, so we can cover those pieces of cotton pad with some moss. Okay, so right now both hardscapes are glued together. So that means that for this episode, we are kind of done. Right now we have two options. We can just leave it like this and then, you know, order the plants, and in the next episode we can do the planting and then fill the tank up with water. The other option is to fill the tank up with water right now and do a dark start. Actually, this dark start method is my preferred way of starting a new tank. So I'm going to explain to you what it is, and in the meantime I'll start filling these tanks up with water. So the dark start method can be really useful when you're using a lot of hardscape and AQUASOIL. With this method, you prepare the substrate and the hardscape, then you fill the tank with water, you turn on the filter and optionally the heater as well, but that's it. Then for 2 to 3 weeks, you leave the tank like that with the lights off. If you want, you can do water changes, but this is not necessary. So during the dark start, the AQUASOIL is going to release a lot of those excess nutrients. And in a normal start, those excess nutrients can cause algae and even melt your plants. Also during the dark start, your hardscape has a chance to release tannins or go through the fungus mold stage. That mold also has a chance to melt your plants. And of course, during the dark start, your tank is already starting the nitrogen cycle, which means that by the time the dark start is done, your tank should be ready for the first fish or a small cleanup crew. This method has way more benefits, but those are the main reasons why I like it so much. If you want to know more about the dark start method, I have an entire video about it, and I will leave a link in the video description. That's it for the third episode of the 2025 Aquascaping Beginners Guide. In the next episode, we're going to see the results of the dark start. I'm going to show you how I select plants for my layouts, and we're of course planting these two tanks.